Hello, YouTube. Peter with you once again. And last Saturday, yet another young man decided to try and gain personal infamy with a gun. What's different than every other time this has happened, and the countless times this has happened, is that this particular person decided that he would target a political figure. Seems clear now that he wasn't exactly very particular about who. He was looking up Biden events, Trump events. He was looking at other political figures, and through a series of circumstances that absolutely warrant investigation, he was able to attempt his plan. One innocent person died. 2 more were critically wounded. Donald Trump was grazed either by a bullet or glass from a teleprompter. Still unclear. And to me, it really felt like a very strange moment in American society, because in the immediate aftermath, before we knew who it was, or let alone anything about why they did it, Republicans immediately went on the attack, some of them, saying that this is because of Joe Biden's rhetoric. They immediately politicized it in a way that they never would if it were any other kind of shooting. There were ones that delved into conspiracy theories, claiming that Joe Biden ordered it. There were even people on the left who started indulging in conspiracy theories that the whole thing was set up. Doesn't this look strange? And there are certainly aspects of this that need to be investigated. My first thought, in all honesty, was to remember back a few weeks prior to news reports I saw about people at Trump rallies in Nevada and possibly also Arizona, but definitely Nevada, where people were suffering from heat stroke in the middle of summer, having these outdoor rallies. And it was commented at the time that the Trump campaign was having primarily outdoor rallies because they were cheaper. And so if you're looking for how did this happen, just like at a logistical level, that's probably, I got to be honest, that's got to be your starting point. Why were they having so many outdoor rallies? So along with the conspiracies and accusations on both the left and right, we also had a denunciation of political violence, which at the risk of seeming worn out and cliche, I wholeheartedly agree with. Moreover, the problem that Trump represents in American society, democracy, in our political system, will not go away with him. There is a much deeper problem at work here, and there's no easy solution to addressing it. I, for one, feel that what this 20-year-old kid tried to do was rob the American people at a chance of justice. Now, of course, the Supreme Court and Trump-appointed federal judges are also trying to deny the American people their right to justice. But that's a separate story. Those sorts of actions aren't solutions, but the more we learn about this kid, the more the point might be simply moot. But I have to nonetheless say that I feel like one of my number one problems with the MAGA movement, beyond Trump personally, don't worry, I have a long list of them, but at the top of that list is to the extent which the MAGA movement, encouraged by Trump, indulges in a long-running fantasy of a subset of Americans, typically gun owners. I can't say they're all gun owners, but it's the impression that I get, that what America really needs is something like another civil war, another revolution. And they form militia groups and dress up in special forces cosplay. Now, these sorts of people and these movements and militias, many of them have been around for decades. But what Trumpism and the MAGA movement did was to start to embrace these people. If not always openly, then with a wink and a nod. Stand back and stand by. There is a segment of American society that has long believed that their gun constitutes a political veto. And the majority of people that I've known in my life who have owned guns use them for hunting, for sports, maybe for home defense. But there's a completely different kind of gun owner. And you've probably met them. You know the type. They're the sort of people who like to dress up in their special ops cosplay and fantasize about the moment to be able to take out their assault weapons and really use them. They join groups like the Boogaloo Boys, which is supposed to be a reference to Civil War II Electric Boogaloo. They fantasize about another civil war, or the 3 Percenters, a reference to the American Revolution. Fantasize about another revolution. Fantasize about street justice. And what started to happen when Trump came on the political scene and gave those people a wink and a nod is that we increasingly see these special ops cosplayers showing up to places like protests, counter-protests, marching around with loaded assault rifles, trying to intimidate people because they have to protect the streets. We see young vigilantes cross state lines to protect other people's property and end up using that assault rifle. Of course, he was acquitted, but, of course, the question never becomes, well, why did he put himself in that situation to begin with? But there are a lot of people for whom their weapons provide them a false sense of power and agency, and so they start fantasizing about the moment they're really going to get to use them. And prior to Donald Trump, the Republican Party mostly kept those people at arm's length. We started to see them flirt with it more and more when Obama was president. By the way, there was some random guy who took shots at the White House when Obama was president because he thought Obama was the Antichrist. Just interesting tidbit. And for me, these people always have a sense of danger tinged with absurdity. So you have people who will show up at state houses with weapons, demanding to end the lockdowns because they can't get a haircut. If you're throwing a tantrum because you're not able to get a haircut, maybe you don't have the wherewithal for a civil war or a revolution. Just a thought. If gas prices or egg prices spiking throw you into a tizzy, wait till you're not able to get those things. Then we'll see how fun your ideas of civil war or revolution or societal collapse become. But after years of these special forces cosplayers becoming more and more brazen at protests and counter-protests, after glorifying running over protesters with their car, threatening government officials, kidnap plots, the culmination of all of this was January 6th, in which they really did believe they were taking part in a revolution. They really did believe they were overthrowing the government. Till they saw themselves on TV and said, that wasn't us, that was Antifa. Right. And then they proceeded to spend the next 3 years gaslighting us over the fact that a mob of Trump supporters broke into the Capitol, chanting things like "Hang Mike Pence," beating the Capitol Police, looking for Nancy Pelosi and AOC, erecting gallows outside the Capitol. We had to spend the last 3 years how what we all saw with our own eyes was actually a peaceful protest of lovely people who were hugging the Capitol Police. And anyone who did anything wrong, they were Antifa because we say so. That's it. So when the people were actually arrested and their own histories and social media profiles were gone over and it was shown 100% of the time that they were in fact ardent Trump supporters who answered his call to go to the Capitol and fight like hell when the Trump administration was warned beforehand about the possibility of violence and they ignored it, well, it was all Antifa because we say so. And when one massive act of political violence becomes ignored and denied, then last Saturday just becomes yet another day in America.